Hello everybody and welcome, my name is Ursa Ryan. Today we're going to be jumping into Civ VII's Exploration Age. My aim today is to give you an understanding of the gameplay you should expect when you play this age the first time. We're going to go through all of the most important bits of the age, and I'm going to be updating you with a whole list of things to watch out for, errors and pitfalls that you can avoid. I've made these mistakes, you don't have to. Watch this video, absorb all of my brain juice, and you'll be playing the Exploration Age like an absolute champ before you know it. Let's just get started. One of the first things you're going to see when you boot up the Exploration Age is a choice of legacies available to you depending on how well or badly you did in the previous age. If this is your first game, don't get bogged down by all of the decisions just yet. There's time to optimize. There are ones that are easier to do than others. Exploration is all about, you guessed it, exploration. So anything giving you settlement limit should definitely be taken. Otherwise, if in doubt, take attribute points. These things are incredibly versatile and will help you no matter what playstyle you're doing. At this stage, you will have the option to change your capital. If your capital is already on the coast, you don't need to do anything. If it isn't, I would advise putting it on the coast. For me, Roma is by far my best city and it's on the coast, so I'm not going to bother changing it. There is a whole new tech tree in the Exploration Age. We won't get bogged down by victory and legacy pathways just yet. Instead, in this age, we are going to be again focusing on the science legacy pathway. It's the easiest to get your head around, and it generally leaves you with a very powerful empire. In order to undertake this, we need to be researching education, which can be found at the bottom of the tech tree. Other major techs to keep an eye out for are astronomy, which unlocks the first science building, cartography, which will let your civilian and support units enter ocean terrain, the aforementioned education, which is what we need to unlock to get the victory, and shipbuilding, an essential piece of tech that will allow you to safely traverse open ocean. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but my plan is to go astronomy, cartography, and then make my way to these two techs. When thinking about civics, just like in antiquity, by the end of this age, you want to unlock everything in here. It'll let you take it through to the modern age. Anything you don't unlock will be lost. Otherwise, focus on getting piety. This will unlock your religion, which is an essential piece of kit in this age. Economics, this will let you unlock trade routes. And after that point, I'm going to be focusing on anything that gives me settlement limit. The mastery of society, the mastery of colonialism, and all of these social class, sovereignty, and imperialism civics. Exploration is all about settlement cap. Keep pushing it up. You'll notice that a lot of your units will have made it through to the next age. Broadly speaking, these can be left at home. You need to keep your home continent city safe from, the neighbors. But any commanders, combined with any troops they have, that have survived till this age, I advise bringing them across to your capital. Any cogs, which is the starting boat you get given, these should start making their way to the edge of the continent. Just be careful not to enter deep open ocean. If you move onto one of these tiles, it will end your turn and you will take damage. So stick to the coast whilst you can. Your capital should then focus on building a few more of these cogs. The more of the world you explore, the faster you will find everything you need. Look, every single one of my Roman traditions has made its way over. Fantastic. This is why it's so important to make sure that your Civ-specific civic tree is finished. You will notice there is a new mechanic in exploration called Overbuilding. Every single one of the buildings in your nation from the last age now doesn't do anything. Apart from a few, anything with the Ageless quality still works. Specifically, these are my Roman unique buildings, the Temple of Jupiter and the Basilica, and any warehouse building such as the Granary. In your first game, don't worry about this too much. Just remember, bigger numbers equal bigger yields. You won't go too far wrong after that. You will also notice that every single one of your town's focuses have now reset. They will all be on growing town, aka they will be growing and gaining population nice and quickly. Until you know what you're doing, I would recommend keeping them on growing town. If you're unsure which ones to pick, just like the last age, you can't go wrong with farming town. This will increase the amount of food your town is making, and it will start sending all of its food supply back to your cities. I can see that my settlements have a couple of unimproved resources here and there, stuff that I would quite like to get. So I'm going to give it 15-20 turns and then I'm going to set them to farming focus. Generally that works pretty well. When you are given a choice of government, settlement. If one calls to you more than the others, then pick it. If you're unsure which one to go for, as usual, I would go for feudal monarchy because this 20% food, it is reliably useful and you will never go wrong with it. Once your cogs are lined up on the side of your continent, you're going to be drifting into the sea to find distant lands. In a normal game, simply pick the furthest point of land and then start sailing away. Your cog can survive probably between 5 and 6 tiles of open ocean before they take enough damage to sink. You don't want this. However, it's likely that some of your cogs will die. That's why we're making a few. If you get a little bit lucky, you'll see land. I can see some here. So I'm going to be cheeky and I'm going to beeline directly for it. I'd advise that you do the same. It's also now worth pointing out that unless there are some settlement spots with resources you really need on your homeland, don't bother settling here anymore. It's better to just leave this land open. The new world, or distant lands as we're calling them, are far more important to get to. As you explore, you will find new land, complete with resources. This is all very well and good, but what specifically are you looking for? Well, when you highlight over a resource, if you find one that says creates treasure fleets, this is a treasure resource. I found 2, spices and chocolate. It is imperative that you gather as many treasure resources as you can. They will win you this age. So this island has now become priority number 1. Do you remember I said it wasn't worth settling on your home continent? Well, now we've found land overseas, so settlers are a priority. Just be aware that settlers cannot cross open ocean unless you have cartography. So if you find land as quickly as I have, you might need to switch this round. Once your cogs have made landfall in the new world, even if it is just a small little island, it's tempting to keep exploring, but they will have taken damage crossing the ocean. There are many dangers here, so I would take the time to make sure your units are fully healed and rested so the boats don't fall apart. It'll slow down your exploration by a couple of turns, but you know, they won't die. So there are positives. Once you've unlocked piety, you're almost ready to have a religion. In order to get a religion, you have to make a temple. Just one will do, but trust me, you want to make this as quickly as you can. As you explore, go down to the lens toggle and turn the lens to continent. Once you find a continent with this little purple arrow, this means that it counts as distant lands. This is the bit of the map that is spawned in. It's worth settling any treasure resources on your home continent, like this island that's just by Rome, but distant lands are your priority. You need to claim as many of these distant lands before the AI as quickly as you can, especially if you're playing somebody like Spain, who's all about distant lands. My temple is finished, which means I can create a religion. You know me by now, I am a one true faithful believer of the giant crab. Although as a nice handy piece of advice, if your eyesight isn't so good, I would pick a nice bold red color, much easier to spot. Now we can add a reliquary and a founder belief. Founder beliefs effectively give you yields. Typically, these yields apply to foreign civilizations that follow your religion. The religion mechanic in this age is all about spreading your religion to other people. You will get very little benefit having your religion in your own lands. I'm going to take this one because it gives me culture, gold, and science for every wonder in other civilization settlements following my religion. I know that there are some big settlements near me that I could convert easily. Machiavelli has made a lot of wonders. I'm going to utilize that. All reliquary beliefs are there to make relics for you. Pick one that you think is going to make you the most. This one gives 2 relics for the first time conversion of another civilization settlement with a wonder. Well, that stacks nicely with the one I've picked, so we're going to pick that. Once you unlock your religion, it is worth rushing it really quickly. Missionaries are the units that you can use to spread your religion. The AI will take a little bit of time to make theirs, so this is the time to act. I'm going to go and spread it as quickly as I can to all of the major AI cities to make as many relics as I can. My settler has made it across the open ocean and has now managed to find a spot within 3 tiles of 1, 2, 3, 4 treasure resources. Normally, just 1 or 2 would be enough. 4 is an amazing spot. I like this. So we'll found the little town and we'll start to assemble these resources. Next up, all you need to do is build a fishing key. I'm going to build it in this direction to make sure that I get closer to this resource as fast as I can. Now, over time, these resources will start to spawn treasure fleets, which I then need to escort back to my capital. For now though, nothing we need to do. Just let the city grow and wait. My missionary has now arrived at the enemy city. Religion is fairly simple in Civ VII. If I look at my own city, I have 2 icons. lands. The first one stands for the urban population. This is any tile with the city center or buildings on. The second is the rural population, the improvements I put around. A missionary is required to use a charge on each separately to convert both parts of the population to your religion. And a missionary has 3 charges, so about a city and a half per missionary can be converted. However, if there is no religion in a city, well, it's your lucky day. The whole thing is converted. Because Athene has a wonder, I've just generated 2 relics which give me culture and happiness. Incidentally, this is the culture pathway. All you need is 12. How difficult could it be? Quite difficult. You need to put a lot of temples down in order to display them. As you explore distant lands, you'll notice that there are people on them. More nations have spawned into the game. You have a bit of a choice. You can either treat them nicely or not. If you want to win the domination legacy of exploration, you will have to go to war with them at some point. I think there's no harm in being friendly on first greeting. It's very cheap and it just stops them from declaring war on you. Once you have your religion, don't forget the 3rd civic tree, the theology tree. It's very quick, but it boosts your religion significantly. Gives you some very, very powerful policies. I would always recommend putting these in your government if you can. Once your town reaches 5 population, remember you can use your gold to buy settlers. It doesn't take population, and it means you have a lot less distance to walk with your settler to then go and settle something useful. Just a little trick for you. My next town is ready to go on the other side of the continent this time. We're claiming all of the treasure we can. Speed. It's all about speed. If you get there first, everyone else has to shunt you off. It's much easier to defend than it is to attack. When you're using cogs to explore around the world, remember they can coastal raid. This lets you take things like encampments and camps for beautiful bonuses. I always forget they can do that. It's a very handy thing. Keep an eye out for some resources being different in your home continent or abroad. For instance, gold, one of the best resources, gives you a better purchasing power when buying buildings. However, in distant lands, as you can see over to the right, on the main continent of distant lands that I found, gold instead creates a treasure fleet. You know what to do. Found this lovely little navigable river. We have a wonderful settlement inland, and there's actually more treasure here than I expected. Even better. Don't complain, just take these gifts with open arms. In fact, this location is so good on distant lands, I'm going to make this into my 3rd city. As a rule, I would never recommend going above 3 cities. 3 is about the max, but you want 1 on distant lands. It's incredibly effective to have. Something to keep an eye out for. I took an alliance out with Machiavelli because he's just sneaky and I don't trust him. However, he's now at war with Spain, and if I refuse to join this war, my alliance with Brim breaks and he really doesn't like me, so I'm gonna have to declare war on Spain. Spain doesn't really have anything near me. We shouldn't have too much of an issue apart from this tiny city below. Luckily for me, I have a massive land army. All I need to do is just gather them together and head down in that direction. Remember, I don't need to do anything in this war. Defending is always easier than attacking. Saying that, there are a couple of random units around. We don't like that. Let's buy in a few defensive units to make sure that we can deal with them. In combat, watch out for these one-way cliffs. My archer is currently stood above my opponent, which means I can attack them, but they can't attack me. What a shame for them. Now, whilst this looks incredibly bad in Valencia, everyone seems to be in a hurricane whirlpool, and the notification says that 1 population was lost. In Civ VII, don't fear. If a tile is damaged, like this one, the population working it counts as lost, so you'll see the population drop. However, if I then repair it, which I can do with gold, you'll notice the population comes back. That's right, population loss is now not a permanent thing. You can reverse it. As mentioned before, remember that commanders can be targeted and killed in combat. Killing the enemy commanders is an incredibly valuable thing to do. Don't leave yours exposed. This is kind of the point you need to get to when your town is ready to become a city. All of the resources are improved and your borders are about as expanded as you want them to get. Convert to city for 230 gold. A bargain if you ask me. Keep an eye on some of these city resources. A lot of them say extra if they are in distant land cities. Luckily for me, that's exactly now what I've got. Now that is a healthy amount of resources in one city. Lovely. Shipbuilding lets you cross deep ocean without taking any further damage and unlocks a very powerful ranged ship. It also unlocks treasure fleets. fleets, which hopefully we should start to see spawning anytime soon. Once you have shipbuilding unlocked, if you come to the resource menu, you'll see how many turns each town has left for a treasure fleet. This one will have 4 treasures on it, 2 on this one, 5 on this one, 3 on this one. Ultimately, we have to get to 30 points. Given how much treasure we have, that's not looking like it's going to be very long. Don't complain. Don't complain. We can't help the fact that we're just really good at this game. It's a burden, really. You'll find in the exploration age that your economy is so big, you'll have the gold to do whatever you want. So you might as well use your cities to build wonders. They're quite good, and their benefits really do start to stack after a while. You may notice as you go through this age that the AI start to compete with you by putting other little island settlements down. Don't worry. If they're particularly good, you can always take them by force. We haven't really gone into this mechanic in these videos so far, but if you Susa in a city-state, you can now choose the bonus you want. Owning relics is a victory type, so I'm going to go with this today, but normally if you're not sure what to do, a social policy slot is never a bad thing. Treasure fleets. These will now, over time, spawn with all of my resources. All I need to do is move them back to the territory of the homeland. Anywhere will do. Deposit my goods. They have a lot of gold in them. A lot. It would actually be a very good idea to escort these things with my boats. A very good idea. In fact, I really should do that. This is a fleet commander. This is exactly the same as a regular land commander, except, you know, they're on the sea. Relatively simple. Just make sure your boats are next to it within its range, and whenever you attack, it will gain experience. Fleet commanders have incredibly powerful promotions. Again, if you're not sure which one to use, I would pick Order. This commendation just gives +5 combat strength to everybody within range, and that's a big bonus. And if in doubt, stick to the left-hand tree. This is the tree that gives extra combat damage and also gives you splash damage. Yep, boats now can damage the tiles next to the ones they're firing on. Very handy. My treasure fleet is home. Just press this button, unload cargo, and look at the yields. 4 points and 400 gold. Now that's tasty. Conveniently, it's over 10% of the way to achieving the treasure fleet. I feel like we may be doing this very quickly. Education is the big scientific milestone tech because it increases the specialist limit in your cities. This allows you to put a second specialist down on the same tile as the first, which makes the yields on the tile, which are already getting rather silly, even bigger. This is how you do silly things like making a 40 yield tile or 5 of them. It's all about specialists. Just keep on putting the specialists on. The next one to unlock is urban planning. And now you can start to see the stacking of specialists. We already have one on this tile, but we're going to put another one down to get all of these yields. And now this tile is looking rather mighty. Delicious. If you're not sure, just find the tile with the most stuff on it and put it on that one. Bonus points if you can get 2 specialists onto the same tile, because that tends to do really well for your legacy path. One thing you shouldn't do is build one of your unique buildings on a tile and then put something else on it, because then you can't put the second building on the tile, it won't form the plaza, and you won't get the plaza for the rest of the game. Don't do it. Make sure you put both of them down at the same time. Don't do what I do. Normally, Ursa is up to no good. The other thing that is worth mentioning, if you put a building down to make an urban tile over the top of a rural tile, you don't lose that population. It removes the farm, then I immediately get to put it back down. This is a way of quickly urbanizing your cities if you really want to make sure that you're getting specialists, not tiles. And when you've got a bunch of towns, that's exactly what you should be doing. Remember, as you go through the age, your settlement limit will continue increasing. Mine is currently now 12. Keep the settlements appearing. Any settlement you don't use in your limit is economic opportunity wasted. Just a little hint for you. If you find yourself building a lot of wonders, you're probably doing quite well. Use your gold to instantly purchase buildings in your cities and use the production to build wonders. They'll stick around into the next age. You may as well. If in doubt, just keep settling. It's always worth it. It's always worth it. And so as you continue to do well and ace the exploration age, eventually the crisis begins, asking you such wonderful questions that really search your soul, such as, is a plague a divine punishment or a divine mercy? I don't think there's a right option here. I'm gonna say punishment. Yeah, this one's all about plague. This is not fun. Uh-oh, that's not very good. My major city has a major outbreak. That's a lot of disease. It spawned some migrants for me, which in itself is pretty nice, but if I don't cure this plague, then it's gonna get very bad very quickly. The plague is getting getting worse, but don't worry. I'm now actually getting science every time that I cure it, so that's a good thing, right? I'm pretty sure that's a good thing. Ignore the death. We'll be fine. Oh yeah, the plague is sort of everywhere now. It makes everyone really unhappy and breaks all of your tiles, and if you don't treat it really quickly, the whole thing will flip away from you, which isn't good. Oh dear, keep spending all of my gold on physicians. Yeah, that's all we get to do now. Just heal everyone. Oh no, my army commander died from plague damage. That's really bad. He was very, very good. Don't let that happen, people. Keep an eye on where the plague is and don't stand your important units in it. Oh, the plague does leave eventually. Thank goodness. It's generated a huge amount of migrant population though. I'm boosting my cities to ridiculous levels. What do you mean the plagues grow stronger? That's not good. And eventually, no matter how much the game attempts to ruin you, you will finish the age and come out the other end. And there we go. Exploration age is at an end and we move forward. Time waits for no man, no matter how much plague we throw at it. You know, some ages seem to go better than others. I think we did pretty well there. Oh yeah, very well indeed. So follow my little steps when you take on your first game and you should have no problem at all. The exploration age is when you really get to thrive and expand across the map and exploit it as best you can. And I can't wait to show you the modern age. Soon. I hope you've enjoyed this little ride through Civ 7 so far. I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe if you could potentially ship one onto a treasure fleet and float it my way. That would be amazing. And until next time, I'll see you later. Goodbye.